So, welcome to Life Mapping Planning for your third act. My name is Monika Moss Gransberry, and I'm going to be your facilitator and leader tonight. And I would say for 30 years, most of my career, I've been helping people map their future and make their visions real, whether they were in a organization or individually. And as a speaker, author, entrepreneur, and business and self-mastery coach. And so tonight we want to talk about your third act. Now, this is my beloved mother when she graduated, all cute, and now her cute 80-year-old self. And she's my role model right now. What I love about her is she did what she wanted to do. She did everything she wanted to do, and now she's doing everything she wanted to do. And not because she has so many zeros in her bank account, but because she had, and not because she saved religiously or some huge amount of money, but she had lots of little pockets of things that kind of have come together to support her having her ideal lifestyle. And she's healthy, happy, and whole, which is the most important thing. I mean, she takes vitamins and 1/2 of a blood pressure pill at 80. And I'm like, I won't be like you when I grow up. And she has no major ailments. So she works out 3 times a week. She leads a kind of leisurely lifestyle. She helps my brother and picks berries and cans and does needle work and stuff like that she likes to do. And my stepdad, her husband, has a little side business, a little business that he started, and he still forgets that he's retired or semi-retired, and he makes a sale so often they get in their little camper and go up and visit the client and love them up and then do what they need to do and then come home and do what they always do. And what I've noticed about them, my dad who's recently passed, and other folks around me and my colleagues, as they're aging and getting older, that those of us who have a clear plan for our third act, our retirement, live longer, healthier, happier lives. And those people who don't, really, it's hard for them sometimes to get out of bed. So retirement's not what it used to be. Many of us will work a long time, past 65. And the questions that we should start thinking about, ahead of time is, how do we want to live? How do I want to live now? At whatever age now is for you. What impact do I want to have? Because in your third act and your second act, you're the warrior, you're out to conquer the world and be all you can be. And in the third act, there's an instinctual thing to make a difference and to share in ways that you may not have felt before. So the other question is, what impact do I want to have? And how do I want to age? Kind of how and where is a big question. And it's one that many of us will avoid because, we don't want to think about when I can't do things for myself the way I do them now. And what will be my legacy? This is the act of legacy, and what do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to remember you for? And so we're going to do some work with that during this session with all of these questions. So most of you know that a few years back I got married again. This is our celebration day, and then a more recent picture of Everett and I, my husband. And as a couple, we decided to use life mapping to map our relationship and our lives together. And we've been planning our third act. And actually, we're 3.5 years into our 5-year plan. And it's been amazing to watch things begin to evolve and manifest even before we're officially quote unquote ready. And so I recommend that you take 5-year chunks. So 5 years, what do you want to where do you want to be in the next 5 years? How do you want to live given that age, whatever that age is, and whatever you anticipate your health to be? What do you need to put in place for the next 5 after that in terms of support for yourself, your health, um, and well-being? And um, then you just get to work your plan. And as your energy shifts and changes, you may shift and change your work or your activities. So the life mapping formula is pretty simple. We are creative beings. We create things all day long with our thoughts, our words, our actions. We do things. And then how do we be? And to create, do, and be with intention is the basic tenets of life mapping. So what do I want? What's in the way of me having it right now? And what do I need to do to move that vision forward? So when you take that first step or first few steps, then you get to join the law of attraction to manifest what you want. In fact, I was listening to a podcast recently, 17 seconds will create enough momentum in the universe to start moving your want into both spiritual and physical manifestation. And the process itself is fairly clean and simple. Getting a really clear vision, and we're going to work on that in this session. Looking at your current reality without judgment, without a lot of shoulds or coulds or would've or should'ves, but just where are you so you know where you're starting, and then what's in the way and what's the strategy or the doing, the big to-dos that will support you moving closer and closer to your vision. So we're going to start with the retirement party. Now, a lot of times when I do this exercise, people have a little pushback. Well, I'm not going to stop working. I just don't want this or that. Or, I don't want people telling me all these nice things about myself, or God forbid, not so nice things about myself. They just don't, it's hard to take in the good or the impact that you've had on others. But I want you to just suspend all of your judgments, your preconceived notions about retirement and a retirement party, to just enjoy the opportunity to envision what it would be like if somebody gave you a retirement party that was perfectly suited for you, where you could just have it however you wanted, whatever kind of food, place, drinks, whatever kind of, band or DJ or quietness or whatever it is that would just tickle you pink, would just make your day, and all the people give an opportunity or the gift to the people who you've touched, who you've impacted, who who are in your life, who you care about, who care about you, to say what you've meant to them. And I'm going to say, this exercise is in the life mapping book, and I've shared my retirement party story many times, and I actually had a version of it last year with my 30th anniversary. I gave myself a 30th anniversary company party for my business, and people got on the camera, on the video, and said all these things about my impact on them. And it was really wonderful to just take it in and say thank you, and not a whole bunch of other things. So all of that to say, just try it. So here are the instructions. Get comfortable in your chair and Take a deep breath and get your feet planted on the floor and really get present with yourself. And take this moment to connect to your spirit, that perfection that is you. And fast forward to a future moment in time when people will come together to celebrate who you have become and what you have contributed with your life's work to them individually and collectively and to others. And I want you to take a moment just to see the environment, to see the location, the room, the space, how it feels, all of the faces, smiling, beautiful faces of family, friends, colleagues, clients, business associates. If you have a church family, your church members, all the people who are have meaning to you and you have meaning to them in your life. And then I'm going to stop talking because I want you to just imagine one by one what they would say, what they would have to say to you. And as you imagine it, if you need to write some notes, please feel free to do so. Okay, take another minute to finish up your thoughts. Yeah, one thing I want to point out, as you're wrapping up your thoughts, is um, the beauty of this kind of party when it happens for you is that you find out impacts that you didn't know you had, because people will tell you things. Well, I remember when. So I remember coming home from college one year and my cousin having one of those conversations with me, and she said, I remember when you lived with Auntie Doe, because I was a troubled teen. So at that time I kind of got asked to leave the house, and my aunt took me in, and my cousin lived across the street, and she said, when I'm at college and I don't want to get up and go to class early in the morning, I just think about you. I used to get up at 5 a.m. and get on that bus and take 3 buses to get to school from Auntie Doe's house, who lived way out in the country. And I said, well, if Monica could do that, I can get up and go to class at the very least. And how would I have ever known she was paying attention to me? Oh, and that I was having an impact on her in that way unless she told me. So providing people the opportunity to celebrate you is really a wonderful thing, a gift to them as well as to you, and to bring closure in a certain kind of way to um, certain chapters in your life. So the next thing I want you to do um, is called My Ideal Day. And in in the book, it asks you to, and in our course that we're developing, we ask you to imagine yourself at the peak of your success. Well, for your retirement vision, prayerfully, you've peaked, and now you're going to do a third round, and um, your lifestyle will be a little different than it was when you were in your 20s or 30s or 40s. But there are some things that will be really important to you. And you see this variety of pictures, um, you know, of some of what's important to me: family, my relationships, young people, friends, gestalt in the middle, being outside and providing support. And then, I envision being on the beach often in my retirement and enjoying and just relaxing. So I'm going to ask you now to take a minute and envision your ideal day in retirement. So I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, wow, what is my new ideal day for my retirement lifestyle with Everett? And it was like, oh, we would get up and maybe go for a walk in the mornings, do a little, and or go to gym and do some exercise, and then we'd have breakfast together and talk about what we're going to get done that day, then go off to our different offices and get work done. And at some point, several hours later, come back together for a meal and then go have some playtime wherever we were. Um, And it dawned on me, oh, that's like a 4 or 5 hour workday, not an 8 to 10 hour workday. And that's a different energy, than what we're doing now. And I thought, oh, but that would be really nice. And then we could go play and do something fun, be with friends, or even if we had a meeting with clients or a webinar like this, it would still be fun and not like super intense. So I want to invite you to just imagine one day, not like a typical day, not one when you're traveling necessarily, not a vacation day, but a typical day and how you might want to spend it, whether it's volunteering or working or whatever. How would you spend your day from the time you woke up in the morning till you went to bed at night? And just make some notes for yourself. Okay, welcome back. So before I move on, I just want to give us all a chance to talk. So Sally, where are you with this?
Well, I'm pretty fortunate right now because I am in the process of cutting back on client work and picking up my volunteer work. So I'm doing a lot of these, and some of this I'm kind of getting in place now. So,
awesome.
I feel like getting out, meditating. I've actually been meditating outside lately, which has been really nice. I've been kind of hiking a lot, so I do like where I live now because I can get outside and there's a lot of nature. So I find that nature really refreshing. Then I have some teaching or coaching. So either like right now I teach meditation in jails, like that's the volunteer group, one of the volunteer groups that I'm involved in. So either that, I'm not sure that teaching in jails is my long-term calling. It's really great right now, but I'm not sure that it's exactly where I'm meant to be. and then I would still like to keep doing coaching, either Zoom calls or some face to face. I would like to go more virtual. A lot of my work is still face to face.
Okay.
Some time for reading, cooking with Carlos, some really fun, healthy food. I feel like we need something together that's a community that matters to both of us. And we don't have that right now. Carlo is like all in with his job at the University of Maryland, and it fills like all kinds of needs for him in terms of making a contribution and feeling valued. And but right now, the volunteer work that I'm doing, the groups that really matter to me, I've been doing more and more work, both in my meditation, with my meditation teachers and another group I'm part of. I've been doing more and more political activism and racial justice activism. I'm doing that on my own because he is fully like tapped out where he is right now.
Well, and you bring up a very important point that I just want to make as a teaching point, which is include your spouse or your significant other, in your life partner, in this process, so that you can start having that conversation around, well, how long does he want to work full time at the university, and what does he envision as he ages? I mean, you can keep being a professor for almost forever. And is that what he envisions, or does he want to go to part-time, and when, or kind of at least start the conversations and start imagining together like how you want to live and what you want to do, and discussing that community part that you want to have together, because then you have a plan that you both can agree on and come together around, so that even if there are parts of it that where he's wanting one thing and you're wanting the other, for the most part you're at least rowing in the same direction. And that process of agreeing together is a powerful process for manifesting what you want, for one. And then it allows you, no matter what the pieces and parts are, to support each other in moving in that direction. And like Everett and I had started having that conversation really early, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, because he didn't know what he wanted to do in his third act. He had to go do some searching around, and he tried on a bunch of different ideas, and then he finally settled on coming into the business with me and us doing some things together, which was a delight for me. And while he explored those ideas, I got to explore, well, if he does that, then how will our two things fit together? And it was good conversation and good supporting each other, figuring it out.
Right.
And that'll move us right to your current reality. And for current reality, I really, for this exercise, I'd just like you to think about, like, well, what if you retired today? What's in place? What do you have in place? What resources could you leverage to begin to live your ideal lifestyle in your retirement? What skills, knowledge, experience do you have that would support you either in generating any resources you might need, or in making the contribution and leaving the legacy that you want to leave? And then what else is available to you to support your third act, the vision of your third act? What do I want to say about this? I have been listening to stories from my friends. Let me go there. And most recently, one of my consulting friends, who has recently downsized and moved into a retirement community. It cost something to get in. She sold her condo. She was able to use that money to pay into the place, pay for the place. And what I learned, and I didn't know, is when you have those retirement communities where you can age in place, and there's assisted living when you need help, and then there's the next thing when you need help, and then if you need full-time nursing care, there's that available right there. What I didn't know is they kind of front load the costs so that your costs don't go up as you age.
Mm.
You pay the same monthly fee for rent, and you get some meals with that, and housekeeping and whatever. And it doesn't change as you age. So
Wow.
it sounded a little expensive, and then when I thought about it, it includes everything. And so it meant that she didn't have to carry a long-term health insurance plan,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
which is the other way to kind of make sure you have resource to care for yourself, however that needs to be, and
Right.
not have to do the kind of Medicare, Medicaid, become impoverished so you can get enough help to pay for your bills. And it's a little challenging to think about yourself in that way. And I'm watching her, both her gratitude about it and her decision, and her knowing she's in such a good place. So her mother had lived there, and so there's people she knows and all of that. And then also the mourning of the previous lifestyle, and kind of, and the downsizing and leaving some of your belongings behind, or and those kind of things. And I just um, bring that up so that we can all pay attention to the practicality of aging, and to putting those things, thinking about what we're going to need in place, um, when things start to happen to our physical bodies, that create a need for us to have more support. And she's actually a single woman without children, so it's important for her to put herself in a place where she can have support.
Right, right.
And even with my mom and my stepdad, it's like she's real clear, like if he goes before her, she's coming back to the States, and she lives in Europe right now. And my brother's already said, well, you can live with me. He's there right now. And then I'm like, well, if you come back to the States, you can live with me. And then I think about, well, my house has stairs and a lot of yada, yada, yada. And how long will that work?
Right.
So there's, lots of things to consider, especially if you want to age in place versus have to move. And it's easier to talk, I would say it's easier to talk about them when it's far away or seemingly far away than when you get closer to that need being a reality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so that brings me to a few other practical things that I just want to say. Get your will in order, complete it, and it just makes things easier.
Yeah.
We talked about long-term health,
Yeah.
and finances. Like now, because your homework's going to be to go in more detail with those two exercises, and then you can start to think about how much will this ideal lifestyle cost me, and what can I expect from what's already in place in terms of retirement vehicles, Social Security, what have you. And then lastly, and most importantly, is purpose.
Yeah.
What will be your reason to get up in the mornings? For me, I'm clear that part of my purpose is to share life mapping, to support people moving into a place of unconditional love for themselves and others.
Yeah.
And learning to manifest what they want so that we can manifest a better world for ourselves and our children and their children's children. And since I couldn't figure out how to fix the systems
Right.
in our society, I figured if I can help each of us individually create a better place for ourselves, then by the time we uh, raise our vibration to the level that it creates happiness and joy in our little corner of the world, there'll be lots of little corners that come together to make a big map of a good place, putting the world in a better place. So that's my contribution. And I pretty much feel like it'll keep me going for a while, like that work doesn't go away.
Right.
And how do I support the next generation in doing their perfect work to get us to the next place?
Mm-hmm.
So, thinking about what you really want and need in your third act at different age points. And, like I look at family members and see how they age to kind of get a sense of what can I expect, I look at my dad who's passed, my aunts, his sisters and brothers, my mom and her side of the family, my grandmother, my great grandmother, who they all lived long time. They lived a long time. My great grandmother was in her 90s before she passed, and fairly healthy, for the most part. And I say, okay, so you probably should plan through your 80s, Monica. And then I've watched others who family members may have died early and had ailments, but they're aging in a very healthy manner. And so they're not sure what to expect. And so I've just been really paying attention to what changes and what shifts and changes, especially as a lot of my clients have moved into their retirement careers and retired from long-term service in either their company or their nonprofit leaderships. Right. And they're busy. They're like, oh, I'm busier now than I was when I was working. And I think it's the contribution part that moves them and gets them up and has them saying yes to the teaching and yes to this and yes to that. And some who really are struggling because their energy and their health does not allow them to work as much as they may need to for financial reasons, and yet supporting them and finding the passion and the purpose piece to keep them moving forward and making a contribution in a way that works for them. So I'm gonna stop talking and start listening and open up for questions, comments, insights, confusions.
Sure. So I thought this was great. Thank you so much. I felt like the whole retirement party thing was really great, and I began to get a lot of insights, and I think what's becoming clearer to me is I've always really strongly thought about identity as, bless you, kind of my professional. I feel like a lot of my energy's always gone into what's my business, what's my profession, and my kids. But I can kind of see that throughout my life, the other things that I've done on a volunteer basis have made a really big difference and are really important to me. And so when I'm thinking about this retirement, I think getting really clear about what my purpose is the most important thing. Carlo and I have done a lot of a couple of years ago, I guess just last year, we sat down with a financial guy and we did our wills, we did all the decisions about, we looked at Social Security and all that stuff. And I feel like we have a decent plan there. But I still feel like there's something new emerging. I mean, what I've been doing lately is just a series of experiments. Like the meditation group that I'm a part of is spinning off and forming its own nonprofit. And I was a little bit on the fence about whether or not I was going to be part of like the organizing group spinning off. And I decided that I would be. And part of my reluctance is we're primarily a group of white teachers working in jails. And a lot of the teachers who are people of color have kind of come and gone. And I had heard some rumors outside the room that we didn't have a great reputation for being a good place for people of color to be. So I really went on this huge thing of digging into that and getting people to talk to me. And we're making some changes. Like we're just at the starting point. Like as we spin off, we're recruiting people to be on the board who are people of color, and we're there's just a lot of room, I think, to build. I think it's just, we have huge issues now, and I have been involved. Like I was involved with some counter work around the weekend when we had the Unite the Right here. And certainly the very racist stuff has been out in the open now with Trump. But I also think, and I think maybe this is more my space, there's just this huge opportunity for liberal, well-meaning white people to kind of own their privilege and whiteness and learn to be much more aware of and involved in the race conversation. And I'm part of a group of coaches that are committed to doing that. So I'm trying to live that in my life. So what I'm trying to do right now is bring that into my meditation group and other places. So I think, and then I've been doing some political activism around the election. But I think that there's something underneath all that that is kind of bubbling up, but I don't really know what that is. So I think the main thing blocking me right now is I feel like my business can continue to go along and it's good and it's rewarding, but I really want to kind of do that like half time and then find something else that I'm doing that's more giving back now, because I don't have your great genes. My sister died a couple of years ago at 68, and my mom died at 80, but they both were very depressed and had dementia. And so I think a lot of mine, like you talked about your friend, a lot of my commitment is how to do things differently than I saw my family do their retirement. So it's more, you have great positive role models. I had great warning signs. Like, so those are my initial thoughts. This has been really, really provocative. And then, how to engage Carlo is huge. He just does not want to engage around the retirement thing. I do love your idea about 5-year chunks though, because I think that's a really good starting place. I love that.
Because if he's 50 something, 5 years, he'll be 60 something. And then you could say, well, okay. And then after year 2 or 3, you can say, okay, well, let's look at the next 5 years. And then you're close to 70. So then you can say, oh, well, I'm close to 70. Well, I really want this or that. It's hard. It's hard for men, I think, sometimes too. They were like, to deal with their elderhood, with the vulnerability of not being, like the lion.
Absolutely.
We just have to love them through the process. But if you can get him talking about the next 5 years and the next 5 years, that'll be a good start, instead of scaring him to death about 20 years.
Right. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. No, I like that a lot. It's a great starting place.
Cool. So your next steps, you have a little homework. Complete your retirement party in your ideal day. And I would say if you have a significant other, life partner, have them do those 2 exercises the best they can, and have and let that start the conversation. Then think about what you're willing to do in the short run to move that vision along.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say a little bit about clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Often our spirit is more clear than our mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're a meditator, and just whatever it takes for you to get connected and allow that to emerge is good work. It's worth doing. To get to clarity, the more clear, and which is why I like these two exercises, because and I'll be sending out some follow-up to help you with that, because they ask you to use your senses, look at what the environment is, how you're doing, and how you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
throughout your ideal day and in the retirement party, and what people are saying. And by doing it now, you have your whole third act to correct
Mm-hmm.
what those relationships, or to make the impact on folks that you would like, so that they will say what you would envision them to say, if that's not where they are in this moment. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any family that doesn't have at least one challenging person that it's hard to connect with in a deep way
Mm-hmm.
that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you have the opportunity, if there is rifts or if there are challenging relationships in your life, to begin to heal those for yourself and the other person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, have the initial conversations, which, if you haven't had them already, with your team, with your new vision, in assessing, like, okay, well, am I okay now that I've gotten clearer about what I want? Or what do I need to do to take things up to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
And then make the plan now. And when I say your team, your retirement team is your lawyer, your accountant, your business advisor, your business coach, or your self-mastery coach. And you don't have to feel alone in this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Then I'm going to encourage you to do a 90-day action plan that answers the question: over the next 90 days, what key actions can I take to move my vision forward? And these days, as busy as we are, I recommend 2 steps or tasks per month, not filling up a big to-do list. Just take a couple things, move a couple steps each month, take 2 things, so that you can feel good and celebrate but getting those 2 things done each month, or the 6 things over 90 days, and say, wow, okay, I can check that off, or I've moved in a good direction, either in my thoughts, my vision, my mind, or in conversations with others. And now, as a closing, I'd love for you to share one takeaway that you're taking away from our session.
I think this idea of like working with Carla with like love and support and appreciation is really important, because I think I can just kind of get fed up and be like, we've got to do this, and it doesn't sound very effective.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad. I'm excited for you. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
I look forward to our continued interaction.
Fantastic. So what's the business part of this? I didn't think I paid anything for this.
You didn't pay anything, and you're already on my list.
Okay.
This is a recorded session, so I'm going to stop the recording now as we're finishing. Somebody's going to pay for it when they get to see it again at some point. We've been building community, an online community, and it'll go in the library, and that's a subscription base. There's a free part, and then there's the pay part, and it'll go in our library.
Fantastic.
And I've done this. I did a workshop similar to this for entrepreneurs at one of the chambers down in Columbus here in Ohio, and very well received. We talked more, we had a whole section around succession planning and what your options are for your business, as well as kind of this life mapping part, and then
Right.
the business part. And that was fun. I'm willing to go places and do that again.
Nice. Yeah, you seem to love this entrepreneur work.
Yeah, I do. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And because it's, you know, smaller businesses and solopreneurs are great because they can just do, when we get the revelation, we implement. It just
Yeah.
happens. We just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So I get kind of instant gratification from the coaching and the
Yeah.
business coaching and the self-mastery coaching.
Great. Okay. Well, we'll be in touch. Thank you so
Okay.
much. It's
Cool.
fantastic.
And I'll let you know. I'll send you an email with my dates and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely
Okay.
do when you're here. Okay. All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Good to see you.